What's going on, everyone? We're live here. Today, we're going to be doing some BookMine sourcing, and the goal is to find about $100 profit in about 30 minutes using BookMine. Now, what's really interesting is that I've already done this before in a live stream, and I actually had a spreadsheet where I put those books that we bought in a 30-minute time window. So, what I want to first do is kind of just review that spreadsheet from last time I did this. I can't even remember. Let's see, do we have the date when I did that? Okay, that was actually on September 11th. Okay, so on September 11th, so that's over a month ago, I did this. And so we can kind of see maybe where the price of those books are at. But before we get into it, let me know if anyone's out there. You can just say hi, tell me where you're coming from. And with that said, let's, kind of get right into it. So I'm going to go and share my screen here. And as I mentioned, these are the books that we looked at last time. And again, this was about over a month ago. We had the same sort of goal: try to source $100 profit in 30 minutes. And you can see that on my projected numbers here, we're at about 176. So in about 30 minutes, maybe it's 45 minutes, I don't remember. It was like 30 or 45 minutes. Essentially, we got to potentially $176 in profit off of us spending about $238, and these being the potential sales price. So what I'm going to do is actually just go to Keeper real quick, and we're going to go ahead and just see where the prices of these books were at to see if maybe you had bought them, what that would have looked like, right? So we actually got quite a few people here, which is pretty awesome. So let's go ahead and take a look. I'm gonna come back here. So we got Nathan in the house. Hey, Nathan, it's awesome seeing you at Books and Beyond. We got Jan in the house. How's it going, Jan? We got nice, Niagara Falls, Ontario. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Hello from Turkey. Whoa, awesome. We got Margot from Palm Springs. Uh, awesome. And we got Gary. Good morning from Vegas. Awesome. Thanks so much for being here, everybody. Again, these are the books that we bought on September 11th with the goal of trying to get $100 in profit in 30 minutes. So the first book was Feedback Control. We were going to buy it for 32. The sales price was 67. That'd be a $12 profit. So let's see where we're at right now. So you can see September 11th was the purchase price. So the price dropped from basically $85 in used condition down to 32. And what's kind of crazy is since then, the new price was at 58. And now the new price is up at 79. And so we do see a cluster of sales here even in the $80 range. So I would say that one definitely checks out. And that one, to me, looks like a winner. So let me see if I can edit this. Can I edit this right here? I should be able to edit this now. Okay, cool. So I'm going to say that one's in the green. I would say we did probably even better than that because, again, if we look at what the current prices are, the cheapest price is actually like 79 bucks new. So there's actually no used copies. So you'd be on the listing right now. And I would say pretty easily probably be able to sell for about 75. So probably your real profit would be right around 18 bucks or 50% ROI, but a really good book there. Let's go to the next one. This is the Blue Cliff Record. And so we were going to buy two of these for $16.49 and try to sell them for 50 bucks each. So let's go ahead and see how that one did. And what do we got here? All right. So the purchase price would have been $16.49. And you can see the price has gone up a little bit. It's about 24 bucks. So it is more expensive today than it was when we would have bought it. You can actually see that to buy this all in now, it's almost twice as expensive. It's about 30 bucks is what you'd have to spend for it. And we were able to pick it up for $16.49. So we're basically able to get at 50% off of what it is currently right now. If we look at the FBA used prices right now, we're at 50 bucks. So 49, 49, 58. And again, that was my target price, was try to sell for $49.99. And at that price would be about $15 profit. So has this sold since then? It doesn't look like we've had any sales rank drops since then. So it's been about a month. Again, if you kind of look at this book long term, it appears to sell in the 40 to 50 range. Again, doesn't sell a ton. I'd say 2 copies of this. Very likely you'll sell those 2 copies in a 1-year time period, especially when you don't have tons of people on the listing like this, 15, 16 people. So I would say $49.99 still looks pretty good to me. Again, it is a good sign that today it's much more expensive than what we bought it for just a month ago. So cool there. Again, you can see that this isn't me, but somebody else is in the buy box at 50. So I'm going to say these are yellow right now because technically those haven't necessarily sold, but I would say those look to be on track to do well. All right, then we got Mancom's OSHA Construction. I think that's how you say it. We bought 2 copies of this for 21.82. And the goal is to sell it for 49.99, make about a $9 profit per copy. So let's see. And again, all these profits would be with a prep center fee. In other words, you wouldn't touch any of these books. They would go right to the prep center and then they would go to the Amazon warehouse. So you would never touch any of these books. That's what this profit is based off of. All right. So again, we bought it in this dip here in September. So the price was in the mid 40s. It dropped down here into the 18s. And then you can see right after that, the price has recovered. It's right back up to 50. There has been one sale since then. So it's possible you could have got your book there in time in a month and had sold it for 50. I would say based upon what I'm seeing, there's a little bit of seasonality here in January. So the goal would be to probably try to sell, but honestly, both copies in January, but it does kind of sell year round. And you can see long term, it does have a very good, you know, it does have a pretty high price that it sells for. So that's good news. And new price on the listing is about, what is it, $95, which is again a good sign that we have a good book. Right now the buy box price is going to a merchant fulfilled seller, meaning there's no FBA seller on the listing right now, or they may not be buy box eligible. So actually looks like there is one here, but they're probably not buy box eligible. These two are actually higher than what the buy box is maybe able to go to. But I'd say $49.99 is still, I think, a solid price point for this. And there has been potentially one sell. So again, I'd say it's probably a little bit too early to call that a complete win. So we'll go put that in the yellow as well. And we'll actually do that for both of these. All right. So by yellow, I just mean like still think it's a great buy. It's just going to take some time for it to sell. And when it does, I think we'll be able to kind of see those numbers. By the way, if anyone has any questions in the comments, let me know. Next, we have is school community relations. So we are going to buy 2 copies of this for $25 a piece. The goal is to sell it for 70 and basically make 100% return on the book. So we bought 2 copies. Let's see what this looks like. So again, we would have bought it back here in the 25 range. Kind of almost immediately went back up into the 40s and then kind of underwent this repricing war, went back to basically the high 20s, and now it's back up into the mid 40s and the buy box is at the 50s. So again, what you see with this particular book is a January season book, specifically sort of in the middle to end part of January, where the sales rank gets lower and there's more clusters and the sales rank drops there. So the game plan here is to sell this book here in January. And what I really like about this book here is if you kind of look at where our offer count is right now, we're right around like 30, which is very similar to where we were last year. So I would expect that we do see the price start to kind of go up a little bit. And again, the target price I think was what? I say 69 or 79. 69, I would say, is a pretty conservative price point for this upcoming January textbook season. You can see that right now the buy box price is 55, but again, that's the price today. And I do believe that just from having a decade of experience, that this price will be higher than that. And so I'd be targeting 69. Let's kind of see who the other sellers are here. So we've got a couple of people, so 55, that's going to sell pretty quickly. This is kind of the range we were targeting between the second and third offer, which is why this would be definitely a good price point. Then it goes up to 75, 79. And, it's very possible that it could sell at those prices for sure. Because you can see last January, the price did get up into the 130s. But, at the same time, you don't want to be a book collector. You don't necessarily need to get the best and the highest price point for every book. You kind of just want to make sure that you have decent sell-to rate, you are selling books. And so what I'd say again is that it's a little bit too early to call this a win because, I wouldn't have sold yet. But again, I basically am saying every book that we've seen so far, I would have purchased again, and everything's looking pretty good there. Now, the last 3 copies we were going to buy were Fundamentals of Thermodynamics. And we thought we were going to pick these up for right around $26, sell them for, again, right around 70, make about $21 profit per copy. Again, never touching the book. So we'll go ahead and take a look there. All right. Fundamentals of Thermodynamics. So you can see this is where the used price slid. It was in the 50s, slid down up to about $21 plus shipping. That's when we picked up some copies. It immediately went back up in price into the 40s, and it's kind of hanging up in the upper 30s right now. Again, this is a January season book, and you can tell just by looking at, I kind of get rid of, everything else except for the used price. You can see how the cluster of sales rank drops, particularly what you see here when it gets down in about 50,000. This is when the book is selling, probably, definitely multiple times per day. These are probably all pretty much individual sales, but probably multiple sales per day there. And you can also see that with the used offer count. You see how it slides right there? So the slide in the offer count means when the offer count goes down a lot, that coincides with the sales rank getting really low and being at its lowest point right about there. So overall, a January style book, you can kind of go back into time and also see that that's what happened not only in 2025. You can see it also happened in 2024, where again the sales rank got pretty low down in the 40,000s, and same sort of process. So you see what I call a sales rank bull, and then you see the slide in the used offer count at the same time, which indicates that you do have a lot of people buying it. Basically went from an offer count of 22 down to about 6, so over 50% of the people on that listing had sold out. And a good sort of pattern to see long term is the used offer count just going up and down like this, which indicates that you have sellers come on the listing, they sell out, more come on and sell out. So it indicates that this is a solid book. So let's go ahead and look again at the new and the used prices, and look at the buy box prices. So again, it has recovered. It's no longer 25 bucks. It's now basically $40 plus shipping. So in other words, you did pick up the book at a pretty cheap price. You can see right now that you have the buy box at basically $57, which I believe is already profitable, even though that's not what I would target. Yeah, it's already a 40% return on investment, which is pretty incredible already. But again, I'd be trying to hit that much greater demand and that spike in price, because you can see last year it went from basically in early January being 30 bucks, which is where it's today, and then by the middle of January is in the 130s, 140s. So again, it's not that you need to sell this book for 139 and make an $80. It's definitely possible. I would say, being very conservative with your estimates, and that's why I said 69.99. I think is a very good estimate. I think the chances of that happening are very high. Um, One thing as well is you do see today's offer count is maybe a little bit higher. It's right around 30. Last year looks like it was in the low 20s at the same point in time. And again, you did see a slide down in price right before the season. So if you do see a slide down in the price right before the season, definitely wouldn't panic. If it gets cheap enough, I'd probably even buy just more copies. But overall, I'm thinking that this book probably is not going to get as high as it was, just because of the fact that the offer count's a little bit higher. But I do think that we're looking pretty on this. So basically, to summarize, our last sourcing $100 profit in 30-minute challenge, all those books are looking great to me. None of those are looking like losers. If you would have bought any one of these books, it's just pretty much a waiting game right now, which is what online book arbitrage is, right? I mean, books don't sell immediately. You might have to wait a few months. And again, this was just 1 month ago. So the goal of today is for us to essentially add on to this, and we will have the new sort of dates that we, purchase those books at. And the goal is to basically set a 30-minute timer and see if we can't find anything good. So hopefully that makes sense. Let me get rid of this, get rid of that, get rid of that. And again, if anyone has any questions, feel free to let me know. Just put that down in the comment section. All right, so I'm on BookMine here. Just a reminder to everyone that BookMine, which gives you 5,000 to 6,000 book leads every 30 minutes. It is $200 a month, but that is the paid plan that gives you, again, 5,000 to 6,000 books every month. If you're somebody who's just looking for proof of concept, you want to make sure it actually works, we do have a version of our software which is free for anyone forever. It's called BookMine Mini, and it gives you 50 book leads every 2 hours. I'm going to be sourcing off of regular BookMine, but feel free to get your feet wet and sign up for BookMine Mini. It's just an awesome a free tool for everyone. We do also quarterly meetups. Victor and I do quarterly meetups with all the BookMine Mini members, just to kind of check in and see how everyone's doing, to try to support the community. So let's get right into it. Let's make sure I don't have any more comments. All right. We got Garrett going, Joji getting after it. Everyone make sure you go check out Garrett as well on his YouTube channel. He just posted actually a vlog of Books and Beyond, which is pretty awesome. And Amazon Jones is the name of his YouTube channel. So definitely go check that out. And if anyone here was at Books and Beyond, how'd it go? Let me know. I'm sure I know some people were there at Books and Beyond, which is great. So all right, so let's go Sorry, guys. Hopefully you can hear me now. Muted 2 minutes ago when I started. Sorry about that. Hope my mic. There we go. The mic is important to the success of the show. So let's see. Make sure I have the good one up. All right, I think we should be good now. Sorry about that, everybody. All right, stop sharing. Here we go. Basically, all I was saying is I like to kind of just go through most of the books, scroll through them, pick out anything that really stands out to me, and here we are. So we have the first one, International Student Edition. Notice how it says International Student Edition, which is important because if that's in the title and also in the image, then we're good to sell that book. So a lot of people think you can't sell International Student Editions, but you definitely can as long as it says that you can. So what we're seeing is a book that again sells well in January, also kind of in June, also in August. This book has never been as cheap as $13.77. You can see in January this was in the beginning of the selling season at 70. Used price went down to like the 40s, but the buy box price was basically in the 80s the whole time. And so my target price on a book like this, honestly, would be like in the 50s or 60s. Now it does say that I'm not actually eligible to sell it, so I'm gonna go ahead and actually see if I can add this as a product and see if I can get approved on that. And it doesn't look like I can. So we can't sell that. Just out of curiosity, though, I'm gonna try to see if we can see if you can sell it to a buyback company. So it looks like you can only get $7 cash for it, but this is a book that if we could sell, I'd be all over it. It's an amazing book. All right, this next one is called Archangel Healing Oracle Card. So it's going to come with a guidebook and a 44 card deck. So we just want to make sure that it comes with both, which is sometimes going to be hard to guarantee. One thing you do notice is that kind of the used offer count goes in and out kind of sporadically, and it never really gets that high. And then it does get high, and it comes back down. So what I'd say is this is a set that's probably very prone to high pricing errors, and so for that reason, I probably would move on. But you can see that it can sell in the 50s, especially if you have both the card deck and the guidebook. Tarot or tarot, I think is how it's called. Tarot books and stuff do really well. So I'd say you could probably sell this pretty. I mean, you can see the buy box is at 70. I'd say you could probably sell this pretty easily for $55. Um, just from just from experience of having sold these. But again, notice that none of these listings specifically say if it comes with the guidebook and you know, the cards. So you'd probably honestly even list this collectible. So I think it's just a little bit too much hassle to list it collectible. I just prefer to move on to the next one. What we have here is a really great high school book. You can see in July and August, it's, even in September, it got up into the 50s. It's now down here to the 17s, which is pretty much the cheapest price you could have picked this book up for in the past. What I would say for this particular high school textbook is probably just track it. And if it gets maybe a little bit cheaper, consider picking it up. But I'm going to go and leave that and not put that on the spreadsheet only because that's like a year out. I mean, we're basically, 10 months away from like 9-10 months away from high school textbook season. So let's try to find something that would sell a little bit more quickly than that. World War One, the definitive visual history. Its offer count has crept up a bit. It's up here in the 40s. You can see this book can easily sell in the 25 range. The buy box price is often between 30 and 40. So what I'd say for this particular book, you'd probably have to do sort of exploit the buy box in order to be profitable. So we'll go ahead and leave that. Not that you couldn't flip that profitably, just that it's, we can find better books. So you have Fire Smoke and Vegetarian Barbecue, buy box at 44. It's at $15.95 is what we can pick it up for. We can see back in December and in February, there have been multiple sales in the $40-$45 range. You can also see that potentially it's, I would say maybe not cheaper. It's probably actually the same price. You really wouldn't have had an opportunity to pick this book up any cheaper. With that said, the margin just might not be that great on it. So I do think you could probably sell this book for, $39.99, but at $15.95, even though, I mean, it's a 45% ROI, it's pretty decent, but I think we can find a better book. So again, one of the important things is making sure that you use your capital wisely. Like somebody who's very well capitalized, could come in and buy this book because they've got plenty of money to spend. But if you're somebody who's just kind of getting started out, I would say pass on that book, even though it's not necessarily a bad book. Next book we have is definitely a high school book. You can see how low and how wide and how long this sales range pole is. This is an amazing high school book. And the reason why BookMine found it is so right now BookMine is finding all the amazing high school books from the previous year, which is why it's good to be on BookMine after the high school book season because all these books are coming down in price. So this book is basically at 16 bucks. This book rarely gets cheaper than that. So I would say this book is probably a pickup at that price right now with the intention of selling for 45 to 50. So a great high school book. But again, we're about 9-10 months out. And so I'm going to leave that not necessarily because it's definitely not a bad book. I'm just going to leave it because we should try to put stuff on our spreadsheet that we can sell a little bit more quickly. Psychotherapy with African American Women. It's a book that looks like it can sell in the 30s, upper 30s pretty easily. It's sitting down here at about $5.98. So the goal and target of this is to probably sell it in the 30 range. What I like long term about this is plenty of times with this book going down in price, being really cheap, and then recovering. Like back in 2019, it went from selling in the 30s to down to $2 and then selling right back in the 30s. And then same thing here in 2025, or actually the end of 2024 is in the $5 range, went back up and selling in the 30s. So overall, that makes me really confident about this book. And let's just see what we would be able to buy it for. You do see, again, an FBA seller at $11, but that doesn't necessarily worry me, especially if there's only like a single copy. Yeah, it goes 11, 15, 29. So there's only 3 copies there. I probably would only be interested in picking up maybe 1, maybe 2 copies of this. And we'd be looking at what, $5.98 plus $3.98. $9.96 is what we would get there. And the target selling price on this would be like $35. So at 35 bucks, we're looking at about 100% ROI. So this is what I'd say would be the first book that I would pick up and I'd recommend you buy. Just a single copy of. I wouldn't probably buy more than 1 copy just because, again, it doesn't sell a ton. But this is going to go on our spreadsheet for $100 profit, and that should show up here through Seller Amp. Cool. So we'll go and check on this. You can see the date is October 22nd here. How are we doing on time? We've already spent basically 30% of our time. So we gotta pick it up a little bit, but we're looking at potentially about $10 profit. So about 10% of the way there. And let's keep it rolling. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and just reset this because again, it's been a little while since I did so. And then let's actually do a little bit of sorting. So let's go BookMine score, anything that's like, I'm not going to go to 10. Let's go 6 to 8 just to have sort of in the middle range there. And we'll go see if there's anything else that we can't find here. Outrageous yachts. We'll go here, this Latin course. So that one. Making sense of numbers looks good. This is an Exploring Creation. That's an amazing high school book. So again, you should really strongly consider picking that book up. Let's see if there's anything else that really piques our interest here. 8. Let's look at this bird book. That looks interesting. And so there's basically 489 books that have a BookMine score between 6 and 8 right now. So there's tons of books to go through. And again, this is going to update every 30 minutes. So the hard part is going to be going through all the books. So that's why being somewhat selective over what you're looking at, not just necessarily buying the first thing that you see, is probably a good idea. That looks good. Ooh, this looks good. All right, let's start with that one. The traditional Chinese medicine. So this has been selling in the 60s, high 60s. It's sitting down here at about 30. Long term, it's done really well. I like in the past, again, 2019, you had a period for about a month where it went down to $5 and then immediately recovered and then continued to sell for 50. Same thing has happened in 2023. The price kind of got down into the $15, $20 range, immediately recovered, went right back in the 50s. So this sort of slide or repricing war it could potentially continue to happen, but I would say selling this at right around $65 is what the target would be, and you're picking up for $26.58. So I'm thinking there's like a solid like $12 to $14 profit is what I'm thinking. 26.58, and we're gonna go for, I'd say, 65 here. So $16 profit, 60% ROI. Let's see if there's good copies. Please read previous owner name in the first few covers. Good binding. I would buy that. Book's in acceptable condition. No access code. Okay, so I'd buy actually both those copies at 27, especially with what I'm seeing selling for 65. So we're looking at $16 profit, 60% ROI per copy, and that looks great. So I'm going to come here and go down to $100 profit and do that twice, just because we're going to have two copies of that. So that should show up on our spreadsheet here. And so now we're looking at us at about $42 profit on about, what is this? $63 spend. So I would definitely go buy that book. Again, make sure that you can sell it. It doesn't appear to be I mean, it says a study guide. So, obviously use the books run counterfeit calculator. It's a good seat belt. Remember, a seat belt doesn't mean that, a seatbelt doesn't guarantee that it will save you, but the books run calculator is pretty much all that you got. So if it says unlikely, I would say you don't have to be so paranoid about it. And I would buy both copies of that. Great book. And so let's go ahead and move on. All right. We got outrageous yachts. Why this is so interesting. Let's look at our time. 17 minutes. Perfect. Outrageous yachts. This is interesting because the whole year it's been between 50 and 70 with sales. And then now it's crept down to about $11. And long term, kind of again, what I'm looking at is, has the book ever been that price before? And if so, did it recover? So I'm really honing into 2 points in time. So let's look at April 2023. It went from having some sales in the 40s to coming down to about $5, and then going back up in price to the 30s. So you can actually see how the used offer count went up, the used price went down, it got really cheap, and then as the used offer count went back down, the used price went back up. So plenty of sales there in the 35s, and then it eventually did march its way back up to 50 and then to 80, and then same thing happened in July. Massive repricing war probably between Thrift Books and Goodwill and World of Books and all the other booksellers. Went down to about $12 immediately, shot back up in the 60s with sales. So yes, at this price point, I'm very interested in. You do see the new price currently is right around 39. And so what we could say is, has the new price ever been low before? And it looks like there's been periods of time where it's kind of just, there hasn't been a new price, but it definitely has ebbed and flow over time. Kind of what I like about this book long term, though, is that even when Amazon was selling it, they're selling it at $35, plenty of sales, good demand. So yes, I'm definitely interested in this. Now, selling it for 50 to 60, you don't need to sell it that high to be profitable at this price point. So I would even say like targeting like $39.99 to like $45 would be a good idea. And so you can see there's actually multiple copies here. I would be interested in picking up, obviously, this condition or this book because it's in good condition. But more importantly, it comes from a person with 99% feedback. If you compare that to 91 and 86, you're more likely going to get a better book from that person. So I would say pick this one, 1166 plus 396, and we're going to get 1562. And again, I would say probably target like $45 for this. And at 45, we're looking at about a $9 profit. That's actually cheaper than the current buy box price right now. And again, that's cheaper than most of the sales throughout the year. So again, what I'm giving you are more conservative estimates for what you could price the book at for. Why? Because we also do want to sell the book, if that makes sense. Like, we don't want to be book collectors. So we're gonna go ahead and put that there. We could do two books, but we have about 15 minutes left, so we have plenty of time to get to $100 in profit. So we'll just pick up one copy. But again, long term, it's a book that has done really well, has gone up and down in price, and for that reason, I would honestly pick up multiple copies, like 2, maybe 3 copies, but that's okay. We'll go ahead and just do the buy for 15, sell for 45, and then we'll go ahead and add that to our spreadsheet here. And what are we looking at now? Just got over the $52 mark, and we got about half our time left, which is great. Let's get rid of that. Let's see if there's any questions as well. Okay. My favorite two are awesome, man. Some people don't bother describing a book on Amazon or just copy paste generic description. You trust the listing description of a particular book. What I would say is I'm more interested in what their feedback rating is. So if they have like a high feedback rating, 95% plus, like even acceptable copies, even though it's generally a generic description, I'm fine with that. Red flags are like less than 90%, especially if it's like getting in. Definitely if it's like less than 80%, that's a major red flag for sure. All right, we got ourselves again another amazing high school book, which is why you want to be definitely on BookMine after the high school textbook season. So this went right up to the 50s and 60s. It was a book you could have picked up for about 15 to 20 bucks, and currently it's down here at $20 again. What's interesting is actually no, I take that back. There's a January season. It could be a high school book that has a January season as well. Yeah, so it's more of a high school book, I think, in terms of more of an August textbook than a January textbook. But you can see that this book definitely does go up in price as well during January. So the margin on this book is not going to be amazing, but at the same time, it's going to be a very high chance of a success rate here. So again, we have two people here at 25 or basically 24, same price. Essentially, this person has 100% feedback rating. So I would prioritize this person over that person, especially because of the fact that it's sold by them and not necessarily from Amazon. So the question is just, is there a margin here? Because at 24.58, the goal honestly in January, so this is going to go up into the 40s more than likely, especially because the offer count is very similar. I would say my target is probably going to be probably so $56 is actually the new price right now. So we couldn't get that high. So it'd probably be like $52. And the thing is, this book does sell so well, especially during the textbook season, that I would be okay. Personally, I'm okay with 47% ROI, and I would buy this book. So I would say, pick it up for 24.58, sell for 52. If that's a little bit tight for you, then that's fine. Don't pick it up. I would say at least track it, because if this book gets sub $20, it's just you buy a ton of copies. If it's under 20, like back in May here, if there's another opportunity to pick it up for like 15 bucks, then I would say buy multiple copies. So I'm going to say add that one to the spreadsheet as well. And this is going to be $100 profit. All right. So let's let that show up here. Boom. All right. Now you do notice a lot of you kind of have asked me before, none of these books per se have been like way over 100% ROI. None of them have been 200 or 300%. And the reason for that is I'm trying to be really conservative with my estimates for what we'd sell the book for. Many of these books, it's very likely you could actually sell for more than that. And then also, a lot of the books that I end up flipping for very high ROI, 200, 300%, are longer tail books. And I'm purposely here trying to give you books that are going to sell more frequently, because I'm okay waiting on a book selling for a year, but a lot of people aren't, right? So trying to give you all proof of concept, and these are great margins, 50% ROI, 60%, 80%, 100% ROI. Those are great ROI numbers for these types of books. So let's continue. We have Making Sense with Statistics, a very popular book. First thing I want to do is check if I can sell it, and then also whether or not it's counterfeit likely. So let's see. It says unlikely, which is good. I can sell it. That's another good sign. Currently, it's sitting here at under 40 bucks, which is great. In August, September, you can see that its price went up into the 80s, buy boxing at the 120. So plenty of sales in the 80s and 90 range. In January as well, this book got up, into the hundreds as well. The new price was there at 69, but probably that new price was an MF seller, merchant fulfilled seller. And so I wouldn't really be too worried about it. Plus, there's actually no new seller right now. So I would say the target for this is like $79.99 to 85 bucks. You can see that you got just a couple of actually one offer under 40, and then immediately goes to 45, and then it goes to 50, and then 60, and then goes to 90. So again, I would say the target price on this is probably right around 80 bucks. I think that's a pretty conservative estimate for this. So let's just see what offers available. It is acceptable, but it is from Bookworm. They have 95% feedback. I don't have any issue buying from them. I bought, hundreds, if not thousands, probably thousands of books from them. And overall, it's been a good experience. Obviously, hit or miss every now and then, but overall, good experience. So I would say for me, targeting 80 bucks on this book in the upcoming January season is great. One of the reasons why I really like this book is because the offer count today is right around 20, similar to where it was last year. We know we're going to get a lot of demand here in January, and we can see that book has gone up in price. And that season, even if it hasn't, you've got a little bit here in March through April, and then you do have August as well. So overall, I would say, so I'll pick up again a book I think you potentially could even sell for more than that. Last August, September, the price did get up at the buy box price in the 130s. And again, even though I'm telling you not to exploit the buy box as a main business model, which I do stand by, obviously, if you can get a prime bump, go ahead and utilize it, get a little extra cash for it. Obviously, it's a cherry on top, and that's great. but try to be as conservative as you can in your estimates so that you can, come out ahead overall. So we're gonna go ahead and add that to the $100 profit sheet. And how are we looking on time? We got about 8 minutes left, which is plenty of time. And so we're looking at potentially $82 in profit. And unfortunately, there aren't multiple copies of this. If there were another, couple copies, I would consider it. You could even consider this copy at $45. Still not a bad pickup at all in my book. You would probably want to price it like $85, somewhere around there. But yeah, if there's more copies under 40, I would definitely be picking up multiple. All right, really interesting. National Geographic, a book about the field guide to birds of North America. So just a book that I'd be interested in. One thing that's fascinating about this book is that it ebbs and flows and used offer count like crazy. If you just used a marker and drew over this book, you would see it just goes through. It's a very tumultuous, period for this book where it just goes up and down, up and down, up and down, and offer count over its whole life history. And so what I would say is go find a time where this book has been this cheap. So has this book ever been $3.40 or less? And has it ever recovered? So it wasn't there, it wasn't there. Let's see if we can find any time between 2022 and 2025. Okay. So we got a period of time right here in October 2023. Let's go ahead and note that at that time the offer count was right around 40. The question is, did it recover after that? So it was in the $3 range. Okay, it went up to 6, then it went up to 13, and then it went up to 12, and then it went up to 30. Yeah. So you could have bought it there, sold it there about almost a year later. You'd have been great. Let's see if that happened in the past as well. So let's look maybe in 2021. So the price was here in the $6, $7 range, and then all of a sudden it basically sold out and the price went up in the 30s. Yeah. So there's multiple times where this book's offer count has been high and then went back down. And so putting those things together, that offer when the offer count has gone up, it has always come back down, and that it has recovered from a $3 price back up into the mid 30s. I'd say buying literally as many copies as possible of this book is what I would do, especially with the amount of demand of this book. And so I would say for a book like this that has a, I mean, I think you could easily sell 20, 30 copies in a 1 year time period. So literally what I would do is any copy under $8, I'd buy them all. So we don't unfortunately have that many, but we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I would even buy this one 8. That one's in terrible condition, so don't buy that. So this is what I mean, right? Acceptable condition, that I wouldn't even consider that acceptable. I'm glad that this person actually went ahead and put pictures, because that's pretty awful. I wouldn't definitely want to buy that. But we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I would buy all 7 copies of that for right around $7.40 is what you can buy it for, and then do that. Now, I'm noticing now this is National Geographic, which maybe a lot of people cannot sell. Maybe I don't think I can sell it either, which is honestly kind of rare because National Geographic tends to be a brand that doesn't have very much value. And so, yeah, you would actually need a combined purchase of 100 units. So this is actually one of those rare books where you would need or like one of those rare National Geographic books that has value. So unfortunately, we'll pass on that. What I will say is, I bet you on eBay, if we look at the sold listing history, I bet you there's plenty of sales much higher than that if we go like highest first. And it looks like there's actually only 2 sales there. So never mind. I guess that's not true, but that's what the data supports. $35 for this. That would have been a home run if we can sell it. If you can sell National Geographic, definitely be all over that book. All right, so we have fundamentals of tests and measurements. It is a college textbook. Let's make sure we can sell it. Let's also make sure that it's not likely to be counterfeit. It says unlikely, which is good. Let's see if we can sell it. And Gary says he can't sell National Geographic either. Same thing for Jan. Yeah, it's such a bummer, but is what it is. All good. Plenty of books in the sea. So we're currently priced at $31.98 from eCampus. They have 2 copies at least in stock. There's really only 4 offers, and then shoots up to 60. Now, again, this book has pretty decent demand. The offer count of this is never really that high. It's only at 7 offers right now, used offers, and then quite a few new offers. And I would say the target for this would be just under the new price. I mean, I'd say probably like $59.99. So if you're buying it for $31.38, selling for $59.99, I think you're looking at about a $9 profit per copy. And for a book like this, you could buy multiple copies. So you could buy all 4 copies here. if you are buying from the FBA seller, just make sure that you hop onto a non-Prime business account, because you don't want to utilize your Prime membership to get these shipped to you quick. So if you get the cart value over 35 bucks, you get free shipping, standard shipping anyway. So that's all good. But yeah, I would buy all 4 of these copies, and price right around $59.99. I would say very good chance that we sell all those copies in January. Um, and then if not, we still have the upcoming August season. Now we're only looking at about 30% ROI here. So I'm gonna go ahead and pass on that book and not put it on the spreadsheet just because, even though I would buy it, let's try to give everyone even better books than that. All right, this is a really interesting one. Starting out with Python, it does say the rental edition, which means that the book will probably have a little sort of tag or statement at the top which says rental edition. But I've flipped plenty of rental editions. That's fine. This happens to be actually a really good one. It's at $69.98 right now. And let's see, there's actually 2 copies at basically 70 bucks. So $69.98. Um, Price goes basically right up into the 120s. I would say the target on this. So right now the new price is 140, but again, the new price in the past has been the 220s. So I would say conservatively pricing this at like 129.99, I think is solid. And at that you'd be looking at about almost $30 profit per book. And again, the potential for you going even higher than that is very likely as well. So one thing that you do notice is that, do you see how the new price at this point in time was 140? There actually was periods of time where the buy box was given at 189.99. So more than likely the new sellers are merchant fulfilled sellers that don't have, Prime copies available, or no, there's no FBA offers available. And so it's this person right here. And again, this is one seller. At any time they can raise the price up or move it down. But I would say 129 is a pretty conservative bet. I think you could probably even sell for much more than that. Long term, it has done quite well. I have no issue buying rental edition books that say rental edition in the actual title. And so that looks fine. Let's just look over on eBay as well, just to see if we can. I was trying to see if anyone had a picture of it. This is what I'm talking about. And see, like, this sold August 25th for 130 bucks on eBay. This is what I mean. Do you see that little Pearson rental edition, save money up front? That's going to be on the book, but that's okay from my experience because it's listed there in the description, multiple places. And then also, even though those books start out as rental edition books, if they are still in circulation, it means that whoever rented the book never returned it, which means they got charged for the full price of it, which means technically they bought the book. So it's not really a rental. They actually bought it. It just happens to have rental on it, if that makes sense. So yeah, I would buy both these copies. I'd say pretty conservative, $130 estimate there. You are spending more money, but again, making $28 profit on a book that you never touch and being able to do 2 books is pretty awesome. So I'm going to add both of those copies to our list, and that would go ahead and put us right there at a total profit of $139 on a spend of 282 bucks. And that with 12 seconds left. So I would say we successfully did it. Again, there are a couple other books that I would have also purchased in there as well. But we have a couple more that I looked at. We might as well just look at them as well and see what else we got here. See if there's any other questions. Books and Beyond was amazing. Let me know who you were if you don't mind. Huncho Fox, because obviously you weren't Huncho Fox there. So let me know who you were. I'm glad that you had a good time. I sold 2 in August and I still have 1 in stock. Sounds good. Awesome. So yeah, if you're talking about that National Geographic book, go buy all the rest of those copies. Those copies were amazing. Where the National Geographic book was awesome. So let's keep it rolling. We got this medical law book. It's a Pearson book as well. Let's see if we can sell it. Let's look at the counterfeit calculator. So highly likely to be counterfeit. It doesn't mean that if you buy it, it will be. It just means that there's more issues with this particular book. Yeah, so you just have to do your own due diligence. You can see that personally I can sell it. Now I'm not going to risk buying this and selling it just because there is a track record of there being issues with it. So it is up to you if you want to do that, but it is an amazing book to sell. Very lucrative. I mean, you could probably sell this book pretty easily for 85 to 100 bucks. No joke. And I would bet you that even buy box companies offer pretty decent chunk of change for this book. Yeah, so they're even offering 26 bucks, which is basically, just under what they could buy it for on Amazon right now. So I'm going to pass on this book just because it's highly likely to be counterfeit if it weren't. I would at $29 plus shipping, so about 35 bucks, I would have bought every copy available. So I would have bought basically those 4 copies right there. Okay, this film history book is actually not film history, Daily Healing Bread from God's Table. Okay, there you go. So book about religion. Something really happened here in March, which is kind of crazy, where it just basically overnight got bought out. 17 people bought it, and its sales went from 900,000 to 26,000. So tons of sales. Then started selling the 50s, and now the offer count has kind of recovered, and it's sitting back there at that price. Again, what I would say is, has there been multiple times, where the used offer count has dropped significantly like that? And if so, has it recovered? It does look like that. And so, at a purchase price of about probably 18 bucks, I would say, yeah, picking up a copy of this is a pretty good idea. Even though I would say, even though there is an FBA seller at like 20 bucks, I would pretty much just ignore that. There's actually 4 of them, which is quite a bit. So I don't know. I might actually track this to see if it gets any lower, but I do think that there's a pretty good chance you could sell this for like 55. You might just have to wait a little bit. And let's see if maybe this sort of March drop in sales rank mid-March. See if that's actually something that's happened in the past. It doesn't look like it. So I'd probably pass on just for now, just because there's 4 FBA sellers at that price, but it's okay. Okay, do you think we have? I lost 5 minutes on technical difficulties. I did, but that's okay. Um, it's all good because, um, yeah. Oh, Fred, what's up, Fred? Yeah, I remember. Okay, cool, Fred. Hopefully your son is doing well, also, man. But I'm glad that you're there at Books and Beyond. Well, I posted books from today. Yeah, absolutely. Here's the link to the spreadsheet. If you're interested in it, it's a view only spreadsheet. And I'll go ahead and share my screen right now, Gary. Sorry about that. But next one, film history and introduction. All right. So the reason why this is really kind of weird to look at is, back here in January, we had a used price at 4,900. And so I'm just going to sort of click and drag so that we get rid of that period of time. And now what you're seeing is a lot of sales right around 100. $70 right around 100, a couple sales at 190, and it appears to be a recent sale here at 195, and then a couple sales there. It looks like one sale there actually in the 220s. Long term, if you look at this book, it's a very expensive book, has sold in the 170s. And yeah, at 69 bucks seems like an absolute steal, or $61. 2 copies available, and then this copy here. So one of the really good things about this book is that it's never had a very high offer count. Like, the most offers that have ever been on this listing has been up to 7 or 8. And currently you're at only 2 offers available. It does have some seasonality to it. Relative to the number of copies available, like 6 or 7 on the market, and like there being 10 sales rank drops throughout the year, it sells actually a lot for the ratio of how many times it sells relative to the number of people offering it for sale is actually amazing. So even though it does sell not very many times, it's a book that I would be more than happy having multiple copies. Now, there's no really reason for me to buy this $81 copy, because I can buy 2 of them at 65. So I'd rather just buy both of these at 65, and I'll just leave that one there. But I would buy both of those copies at 65 and sell it for 129.99. I think that's a pretty realistic price. You could probably even go up to like close to 199. Honestly, this is one of those books that when it gets checked into the warehouse and the default price that the prep center gives at 199, it's very likely that if I just let it sit there and didn't reprice it in like a month, it could just sell at 199, because it has sold out at that price before. But 65 bucks is what you can pick this book up for. 61.49 plus $3.99 shipping. $3.99 shipping. All right, let me do that again. 61.54 plus $3.99 shipping. 65.53 and $129.99, $31 profit, 48% ROI. Again, I think it's very possible you could go up to $159.99. I think it's very possible you could even sell this for $179.99. Like, I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility based upon having experience selling that. But I would again say conservatively price it at that and pick up those copies. So I'm not going to add this to the spreadsheet only because it's outside the 30-minute time frame, but these are the books that we were able to pick up in that 30-minute time slot. And I don't know, let me know what y'all think. Do you guys like this session? Do you like this tracking of books? What I like is that we have a date for when we bought it, and so we can always go back into time or we can always go back, look at what we bought it for, what we projected the sales price was gonna be, what we projected the profit was going to be, and we can see if the data was there, if you had bought these, if you would have come out ahead, if you would have made money. So let me know what your thoughts are. Should we continue this series into the future? Because I don't see why we couldn't. I mean, tons of potential rows here. You could certainly make this sort of segment like a monthly segment. I think probably monthly would be good just so that we're not overwhelming ourselves with too much stuff. This will give us a solid 10 or so books. Now, again, the reason why these were all yellow is because these are all books that basically every book we bought last time, I was like, these are great books. It's just that they haven't had enough time to cook, right? They've only been there for about a month. And so they haven't all had the opportunity to sell. But basically, I'm saying all the books we bought last time, solid books. I still think that if you bought them, keep holding tight at these prices. Very likely you'll sell them. Again, I think we picked up another solid list of books there. So hopefully that makes sense. It doesn't take a bunch of time to source, only about 30 minutes a day, especially when you are, doing this on a day-to-day basis. So Jan says, thank you. You're welcome. Yes, I enjoy it. It's good to hear your thoughts on different books. Awesome. You have yes from Irina. Awesome. Like watching you verbalize your evaluations. Yeah, I mean, what's interesting is that when I source, obviously I don't talk like that, right? I just am all in my head, if that makes sense. You know, when I'm going through BookMine, like let me share my screen again. When I'm going through BookMine, I don't talk out loud. I kind of just pick out the books that look good to me. And remember it since we started, right? These books are going to update. So it's um impossible to get through all 5,000 books in 30 minutes. So it's kind of like just pick out the books to you that look the most interesting. I mean, like this book. This book's $8 right now, free shipping. It's sold in the 30s. So that's a book that I'd be interested in looking at, right? It's kind of just scrolling past books and doing so quickly. This is kind of how fast I would go to see is there anything that really pops out at me. And so this Cocaine Blues again has sold in the 30s. In the past has been cheaper and then recovered multiple times. So to me, it looks like again another book to buy one or two copies of. Looks like a solid pickup. And this one would probably be closer to 100% ROI, maybe even greater than that if you're picking up at that price. So hopefully that makes sense. A couple other things. Remember, sign up for BookMine Mini. It's free. It gives you a flavor of BookMine. It's 50 book leads every 2 hours. Now it's way different from 5,000 books every 30 minutes, but at the same time, it's free and it's there's no plan that's better than free. So go on the monthly free plan. Again, Victor and I do quarterly BookMine meetups with the community, with all the BookMine Mini members, just to see how everyone's doing, check up on you. So definitely join BookMine Mini. The other thing as well is that we just wrapped up Books and Beyond, but guess what? We're bringing Books and Beyond back to 2026, back to Las Vegas. Why? Because it's just literally an amazing time. And so we're basically getting all the copy ready to go. We're getting the new branding ready to go. Testimonials. These are all updated pictures of this year. Just an amazing time at the conference. Victor and I, showing Keepagraphs, Carter, VA Fastlane, David Chung. Just a really awesome time with really. There's Fred right there. Fred's this is Fred's son. Fred's in the chat today, but that's Fred's son. Just awesome people, 2-day experience, and prices are as cheap as they're ever going to be. I know it's a way long time away. Technically, the dates haven't been locked in. It's going to be in October sometime. We're still working on the dates, but basically, general package is going to be $297, which is an amazing deal, plus a Saturday night after party included in that. And so this year, we're really just trying to simplify things, trying to make the access as cheap as possible. And we are also more than likely going to have this during the week instead of on the weekend, just to bring down ticket prices for hotels and also flights. So this price is, likely never going to be that low again. So, again, we're basically a year away, but all I'm saying is it was an amazing time. You heard it from people in the chat. I'm really super excited for next year. So anyways, not trying to hard pitch or anything. It's just a good time. Forever Proof says that was great. Thank you. You're welcome. Dumb question. How come I can't see all comments that Joji shows on the screen? That's because I'm live streaming on the BookMine YouTube channel and also on my own YouTube channel, which means that if you're on only one stream, if you're on the Joji channel, you only see comments on the Joji chat. If you're on the BookMine channel, you only see comments on the BookMine chat, but I can see them on both, so that's why I'm bringing them up here. 0 Point Grace says, "Thank you. Absolutely lovely sessions. Really reinforces what books can sell out." Yeah, absolutely. Jan says, "When will the videos be available to purchase for books and beyond?" That should be really soon here. They're in the process of being edited, Jan. I would say within the next 2 weeks, more than likely, and you'll be able to access those recordings, which is awesome. Uh, Irina says, "Gotcha. Thanks, Joji. You're welcome." All right. So again, we were able to, in under 30 minutes, find potentially $100 in profit. More than that, again, I think some of these books you can sell for more, but I do want to be conservative. But yeah, I'm feeling like there's good energy here. So what we'll do is probably a month from now, we'll come back to this $100 profit challenge in 30 minutes, and we'll add, at the beginning of the session, we'll do what we did last time. We'll kind of go over all the books, see whether or not they performed well. We'll put all the books in yellow that we think are still going to do well, but just haven't potentially sold yet. The books in green are the books that we think would have already likely sold. And then in red, what we'll do is anything that was like a bad buy, we'll put it in red. And then who knows? It could turn around and become a good book again. But we'll go ahead and start off, next time we do this, by looking at all the previous books, and then we'll do the same 30-minute sourcing challenge, and we'll continue that. I don't know. I think it'll be an interesting series. I would predict that as time goes on, more and more people will actually buy the books because they're like, "Oh wow, I would have been profitable." So the books that we're giving you in the spreadsheet are actually solid books to buy. So hopefully that makes sense. I've got some stuff to do. Hopefully you had a good one, and again, sign up for Book My Mini, and I'll see you all later. Peace out, everyone. Bye bye.